So the primary purpose of the prioritization tool is to bring all the pertinent information relevant to prioritization into one place for use in collaborative multi-stakeholder prioritization exercises and explore how different priority weightings on the components of the prioritization method affect priorities for 10 key focal fish species. The multi-criteria scoring approach automates calculations that answer this fundamental question. Given all that we currently know, which habitat restoration actions will provide the broadest possible benefits to multiple native Klamath Basin fish species within each sub-basin and throughout the basin? The main benefits of using a tool like this is providing a central database for organizing all available information on focal fish species, stressors, levels of habitat impairment, and related data and methods information so that restoration priorities can be iteratively evaluated over time within an adaptive management framework. In short, having a portal where restoration practitioners and resource managers can collaborate in a transparent, systematic, and repeatable fashion over time as restoration projects are proposed and others completed. A short note about logins for the prioritization tool. There is a guest login account. This is a public login that you can use to gain access to the basic features of the tool. There are two other roles, a sub-basin working group member roles and a facilitator or site administrator role that are available for this tool depending on the user's place in the organizational structure of the project. And by that, I mean that the IFRMP is currently led by a federal coordination group. And principally, there are a series of sub-basin working groups with experts from the various sub-basins, and sometimes those sub-basins are aggregated to a series of basins. And those teams are the ones that can do things like suggest edits to project details, whereas public users would just be restricted to a read-only view of what's been vetted in the tool to date. So once you've logged into the IFRMP prioritization tool, you will see a welcome screen. This contains just some introductory information about the project and a list of the 10 focal species that are included in the IFRMP. The website's organized around a series of tabs. Most importantly, the scenarios, projects, and map explore tabs. So there's really just three core tabs. A tutorial tab will give you access to this video, possibly. And log out to log out. Best place to start when exploring the tool is on the scenarios page. And what this includes is a list of the Klamath Basin sub-basins and the sub-basin working group teams, and any scenarios for prioritization that those teams have created so far. And I will talk about some of these other controls in a second, but the first thing you have to do is effectively pick a scenario in order for things to make sense. And what you're seeing here is based on the Scott sub-basin working group. That group has created a couple of scenarios thus far, with possibly more to come in the future. And this includes going through exercises to weight the 5 different components of the scoring system: species range overlap, the status of core performance indicators, which are used as an index of impairment, the stressors addressed for the focal species in the basin. This is based on conceptual modeling that was put together in phase 2 of the IFRMP. The scale of anticipated benefits beyond the project footprint, and implementability, which I will save for another day. That's been turned off for now for reasons that I won't cover today. But all these little icons can give you things like quick definitions of these various components and drive you back to more detailed explainers on the IFRMP project website. You see the prioritization formula here, and most importantly, probably can't tell from what I've done so far, at the bottom is a list of projects in priority order. So at the moment, you can see at the top projects, these are arbitrary numbers, projects 12, 10, 14, highest ranking projects based on this score that you see in the right-hand side of the project card. And higher numbers mean higher overall multi-criteria benefit scores, and thus that is a higher priority project. And you can do things like see details about these projects by expanding the card. You're going to get a bit of a description of what the project is, and various tabs that describe where is this project. So you can see that this particular project for restoring floodplain connectivity in the Scott Basin, these highlighted units are where it exists. If you scroll down a little further, you'll get to see their names and their HUC 12 IDs and other information that would make sense to you if you read the methods explainers and got into those details. You can also see things like the species that are relevant in this sub-basin and other information on CPIs and so on that are addressed by this project according to the conceptual models that were done. Lots of codes and things to learn about watershed tiers and so on and so forth that would require a longer tutorial. So when you change the weighting factors, whether it's on the overall criteria themselves or other aspects of the scoring system, the rank order of the priority projects, these cards, will begin to change. I'm just going to do this slowly to see if this video recording tool is going to pick up what for me is quite a dynamic change in the scores and card shuffling. But essentially, if I decide I care less about criteria 2, or excuse me, criteria 3, I'm going to basically turn that off. The tool updates, you'll see the scores change and the rank orders change. And if I do this again on another, just arbitrarily picking something, the cards update again and the scores change. And that concept applies to weights on the different biophysical tiers. So this is where the different CPIs map into different tiers, and the project's effects occur at different levels of this biophysical hierarchy that is key to the underpinning philosophy of the IFRMP work. And again, you can change weights on species. Zeros in this case mean those species aren't in this sub-basin. But that concept applies generally with all of the weighting factors. So there's, on first encounter, a lot of information to absorb in this tool, and my best advice to people feeling that way would be to pay attention to these little information icons which give links to definitions of whatever that element is. And likewise, in the actual scoring formula, these hyperlinks will bring you to the IFRMP project information website, where you can get a more thorough definition of what the heck is that component, and should answer all of your questions about what underlies the meaning of criteria or other aspects of the tool. Another new addition to the prioritization tool is a map explorer. This page is available to basically look at the entire basin rather than being restricted to looking at individual sub-basin units. And that's useful, for instance, if you should wish to look at things like what we have included for fish distributions. So if I click a particular species, I will get the range for that species as currently entered in our system, and the colors reflect in gray whether the species coho in this case are absent from those areas, whether in green that represents a historic the historic distribution, blue the current distribution, and then yellow is a special emphasis or anchor habitat definition that's part of the IFRMP, and you can read about those definitions in the explainers that I referenced earlier demos, and critical habitat, which is a federal designation. And as I just flip different species, you can see where the different focal species are in the basin. The Map Explorer also has the ability to map the core performance indicators that are included in the IFRMP. Again, these little pop-ups help to give you definitions of what that means, how to find out more, but I can do things like show where the wildfire vulnerability index, what that is and where that is. Again, the definitions of these layers are contained in other parts of the IFRMP documentation. We have also provided external layers to a variety of other features that might be of interest. Stream temperatures for 2080, it's taking a few moments to load because that's an external layer that we're accessing, external spatial service, and the load time is a bit out of our control, but you can then zoom in and start to get down to the stream level to see what the stream temperature index or predictions are for the year 2080, and move around the basin and so on and so forth. In closing, this tool has been very helpful in the development of restoration priorities to date, and we expect to continue to use and improve it as we head into the next phase of plan development and finalization between 2021 and 2022. And in the future, we envision handing off this tool to an entity that will be responsible for ongoing IFRMP adaptive management implementation, so that practitioners in the basin will continue every year or two to be engaged to help guide restoration planning for many years to come as learning occurs.